Hi, welcome to Kingdom Seeker Circle. Welcome to the 6th Matthew video, and in the previous video we talked about the response to Jesus' birth in the first section of chapter 2. Go and check that out, or check out the beginning of this series to really get a grasp and context of where we're going and what we're understanding. So with that said, in Matthew 2, 1 through 12, the king is recognized and worshipped. In Matthew 2, 13 through 18, the king is threatened. Matthew shows us that opposition does not begin later in Jesus' ministry. It begins right at his birth. And yet even here, Matthew's focus is not Herod's cruelty alone, but God's faithfulness working through this danger and loss. Now remember, we're not supposed to gloss over this. Matthew does not paint a picture where we can ignore this suffering. This suffering is reality. Jesus was born through human suffering. His story is a humbling one. It is not something that you'd expect from a glorious king that is born. Humble beginnings of Jesus Christ. The passage begins immediately in the second section of chapter 2 with the Magi departing, and an angel of the Lord appears to Joseph in a dream and commands him,
"Take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, remain there until further instruction."
And that's what the angel said. And the reason is because Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. So Joseph obeys without hesitation, departing by night. Matthew then interprets this event and says this was to fulfill that the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Out of Egypt I called my son. Herod, realizing he has been deceived by the Magi, becomes furious and orders the killing of all male children in Bethlehem 2 years old and under. And Matthew again pauses to interpret. Then was fulfilled that was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. He says, "A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children." Passage ends not with explanation, but with grief. So Matthew tells this story primarily through divine instruction and prophetic fulfillment. Joseph does not debate, Mary does not speak, and the child does nothing. The focus is on God's initiative, and the flight to Egypt is not accidental, frames Jesus as reliving Israel's story. Israel went down to Egypt, Israel came out through God's deliverance. Matthew does not say Jesus replaces Israel here, but he does show that Jesus embodies Israel's calling and destiny. Herod's violence is presented without embellishment because Matthew wants the horror to speak for itself. Evil does not need interpretation to be evil. What stands out here is that it says, "Take the child and his mother." The child is always named first. And this reinforces that what Matthew has already shown. Jesus is the center of God's protection action, not Joseph and not Mary. Both fulfillments in this passage arise from pain, not triumph. Matthew shows that Scripture is not only fulfilled through victory, but through exile, mourning, and loss. This deepens our understanding of Messiahship. The Messiah enters suffering before he conquers it. Rachel represents the mothers of Israel. Matthew connects present tragedy to Israel's long history of sorrow and exile and loss. This is not random cruelty. It is a pattern of brokenness that the Messiah has come to confront. And this tension is not resolved here. Matthew does not explain why the child lives while others die. He leaves the weight intact because the gospel has not yet reached the cross. The reader is meant to feel this cost. Matthew 2:13 through 18 teaches us that God's purposes advances under threat. Obedience often happens in fear and urgency. The Messiah's life is preserved but not insulated from suffering, and the king enters the world as a refuge. The story of salvation begins not with safety, but with trust. And Matthew prepares us to follow a Messiah who walks this path first.